Hello, I'm doing a Commander deck tech for Magic the Gathering. Self-explanatory. Commander deck is Razaketh, the Foul-Blooded, flying trample 8/8 for 8. I can attack with this card. It's pretty decent. Usually good damage, if not just wrecking token decks with it. But the important part of this card is down here. It says pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, search my library for a card and put it into hand. This card has 2 combos in it. One's an infinite combo. And you can win one of either 3 ways: is getting the infinite combo, getting the non-infinite combo, or smashing face with Razaketh and a bunch of other creatures. Command Tower, because Command Tower. Reliquary Tower, because Reliquary Tower, and you want to have the no maximum hand size. That's always a good idea in Commander, so you never know. Everglades, because Everglades. Crypt of Agadeem, since we're sacrificing a bunch of creatures, Crypt of Agadeem's gonna pay for. It's gonna tap for a lot of mana. Mortuary Miner, to get a bunch of creatures back. Just heads up, probably pronounced that wrong. I'm not a good pronouncer. Polluted Mire, to cycle if I'm low on draws. Beginning of the game I have Polluted Mire. That's good. Late game this is good. And turn 2, turn 3, if I need an extra land and I don't need the cycle, Polluted Mire is great. Bazooka Bog, to hate on other graveyard decks. Ghost Quarter. This is... I'm not big on land destruction, but if it's something that's getting really bothersome, I will Ghostly Quarter. It's not as mean or rude as Dust Bowl or anything like that, but it's still land destruction. People vary on land destruction, so sometimes I use the non-mana ability, sometimes I don't. Exotic Orchard, not really important in this deck. It doesn't really do much. It just sits there if the other player isn't playing black, but it's a good card. Myriad Landscape, to search up other cards. Ash Baron, another cycler. Terramorphic Expanse. I only have Terramorphic Expanse. I don't have the other fetch land. I feel like such an idiot for forgetting it. Evolving Wilds, that's it. I don't have Evolving Wilds. Did I have Evolving Wilds? I do not have Evolving Wilds, because I already have the Myriad Landscape, and Razaketh can also search up lands, and that's always a good thing. So I only need the Terramorphic Expanse. Swamps, I've got a bunch of swamps. These are all the swamps. Bunch of swamps. I'll tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 swamps. I'll probably add in some extra non-basic lands, swapping them out for swamps later on with this deck. Soul Ring, because Soul Ring. Worn Power Stone, because Ramp and Worn Power Stone is just a Soul Ring just being difficult. Caged Sun, because Caged Sun in a monocolored deck is absolutely amazing. Jet Medallion, because Jet Medallion Charcoal Diamond, because Charcoal Diamond. Mind Stone, this is just in case I don't want to pay life to draw cards, because that's the main way this deck draws cards, is through paying life. You'll see that later on in the deck. But this is a way to draw a card without paying life, so that's pretty fun. And then some of the main targets for Razaketh in this deck, one of the reasons why I threw this deck together was these first of 3 cards is the Throne of Empires, Scepter of Empires, and Crown of Empires. They each do kind of decent stuff by themselves. Crown is a tapper, Scepter is a dinger, and Throne of Empires makes a 1/1 just by themselves. But with all of them on the field, Crown of Empires, you can gain control. Scepter becomes a Lightning Bolt, and Throne of Empires creates 5 1/1s for essentially 1 mana. So that's fun. And also, if you have Throne of Empires on the field, you can make the 1/1 soldier, sacrifice it to Razaketh to search up one of the other 2 pieces of the combo. And that's always good. This is my go-to combo, because it's not an infinite combo. Not everybody likes infinite combos. Next we have the infinite combo, the Salvaging Station combo. Have Salvaging Station, Blasting Station, Flare Husk. For the uninitiated, what basically happens is you have Salvaging Station on the field, you have Blasting Station on the field, you play Flare Husk. When it comes into the battlefield, it brings a 0/0 black germ token with the Flare Husk attached to it. And whenever a creature comes into play, it says I want to untap Blasting Station. So I can put that effect will trigger. Before I do that, I can tap the Blasting Station to sacrifice the germ token with the Flare Husk connected to it. So this will go to the graveyard. And this still says it wants to untap. Salvaging Station says whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, I can untap it. With that trigger, without Salvaging Station saying it wants to untap, I can tap it to return the Flare Husk to the battlefield. And then after that, I can immediately untap both of these cards. I can keep on going through and dealing an infinite amount of damage with the Blasting Station, because it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You're not going to get rid of indestructible creatures. It's not creature removal, it is player removal. And if you want to be competitive with this deck, this is how to be competitive. I don't normally search up this combo in this deck. The only time I usually do is if I have one of the 3 pieces in my hand. The other combo, the Throne of Empires combo, I do that no matter what. That's an every game thing. But this is just generally, if it just so happens, I'll get it. Then how this deck covers its weak spots. Black has a hard time dealing with artifacts and enchantments. Oblivion Stone is a great way to deal with it, and it's the recent printing of Oblivion Stone. I really like the art for this. And then Perilous Vault is another way to deal with non-land permanents, dealing with artifacts, enchantments, things like that. Lightning Greaves, because Lightning Greaves, and then Ghoul-Caller Gissa get into some of the meat and the bones of this deck. Ghoul-Caller Gissa is great Another sacrifice outlet. It creates more creatures. It's easy to swarm with this deck with Ghoul Caller Gissa. Great card overall. I remember when this actually used to be a Ghoul Caller Gissa deck until I opened up a Razaketh in a booster pack, and I said, this is what the deck's gonna be. Necropotence, because Necropotence, everybody loves Necropotence. If you don't like Necropotence, we need to have a talk. We need to talk about how wrong you are and how great Necropotence is, because Necropotence, and also the art is freaking amazing. I swear these are like the original Phyrexians in the art, and it's absolutely breathtaking. Phyrexian Arena, because Phyrexian Arena, if I really want to lose life with this deck, that's all I want to do. I want to lose life and draw cards, and maybe win. Phyrexian Arena is another way to do that. Decree of Pain. Decree of Pain is a great card. Effective board wipe. Draws a bunch of cards without losing life. You can cycle it, and it's essentially like it's a Drown in Sorrow without the scry, basically. Plus you get to draw a card. So that's always fun. Endless Ranks of the Dead. Get that zombie horde. Works well with Ghoul Caller Gissa. I have a number of other zombies in the deck. I have actual things that create zombie tokens. Grave Titan's in here somewhere, so that's fun. Liliana, Heretical Healer. Lifelink, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile her and return her to the battlefield transformed with a 2/2 black zombie. One of the zombie creation things. It's also lifelink, so it gains life back for Necropotence and things like that. It also benefits from sack outlets, which is what the commander is the sack outlet. On our flip side, Liliana, Defiant Necromancer, +2, each player discards a card, -X, return target non-legendary creature with converted mana costs, X from your graveyard to the battlefield, -8, get an emblem whenever a creature dies under my control at the beginning of the, I get it back at the beginning of the next end step. Great card in this deck. Since I'm sacking a lot of creatures, the emblem is great. The +2 ability isn't the best, but you gotta deal with those blue mages yeah. Moving on. I've completely screwed that. Bantu the Glorified, the original commander, one of the other original commanders for this deck. Can attack or block unless a creature died this turn. One in the black, sacrifice another creature, scry one, and it's just like a pseudo extort. Each opponent loses 1 life and you just gain 1 instead of gaining all the life that was lost. Great card, great sack outlet, a lot of versatility. Just another way to like search through the deck really fast. Burnished Heart for mana ramp. Behold the Beyond. If I'm in a desperate hole, I need to. Somebody keeps on killing Razaketh. I need one of my combos out. I can Behold the Beyond and get all 3 cards of one of the combos into my hand immediately, which is amazing, and I love it. Necromantic Selection, because Necromantic Selection. Black Sun Zenith, it's a board wipe that deals with indestructible creatures, which is very important. Ob Nixilis, the Black Oath, because I want to create a bunch of flyers. Also, his emblem and his plus ability gains you life. That's pretty important in this deck because you're paying a lot of life. Profane Command. You have Caged Sun out. You just sink a bunch of mana into this. You drain your opponent loses a bunch of life. You can also return things that you sack with Profane Commands, and give creatures fear and a bunch of other things. Profane Command is just really good in this deck. Raving Dead. It's here mainly because it's a zombie. It's really good if it gets in, but other than that, honestly, I'd prefer this in like a Doran deck where toughness matters. But it's still a zombie. It still deals a bunch of damage. Basically, if it contacts with an opponent, they lose half their life total. So, if Raving Dead gets in, it goes from the opponent goes from, if let's say if they were at 40 life, they'd go down to 38, and they'd go down to 19 because of Raving Dead's ability. At least I think that's how it works. I don't know which one comes first, the actual creature damage or the effect. Maffled Twin to create 2/2 black zombie creatures. Because 2/2 black zombie creatures. Unbreathing Horde, because you gotta love them zombies. Butcher of Malakir. This is kind of like the cheaper alternative to, let's say, a Grave Pact or a Dictative Erebos. It does the same thing. It's just more susceptible to removal. We have a bunch of reanimate stuff, reanimate things in this deck. Butcher of Malakir, you're able to get out and usually keep out for a while. Liliana's Reaver creates 2/2 black zombie creatures. Very simple. Gral's Messenger, something that you can sack twice. It'll also drain your opponent each time it comes to the field. Apprentice Necromancer brings things back from the graveyard. Vengeful Pharaoh, it's a zombie. We like zombies in this deck because zombies. Hex. Hex could be considered a board wipe, but not really. It's basically a bunch of 1 mana. It's 6 1-mana murders, and who doesn't want 6 1-mana murders in one turn? Promise of Power, to draw a bunch of cards. You can entwine it. You'll get a really large creature, flying demon equal to the number of cards in my hand. That's great because I'm drawing a bunch of cards. If I entwine it with this, that's a lot. I can just Necropotence before this and get a bunch of cards into hand. Remorseful Punishment, to get the opponent down on resources or life. That's basically it. It also helps deal with indestructible creatures, Few Wrath, and Tori Remorseful Punishment. It basically gets rid of everything. Shadows of the Past, for whenever, because I'm doing a lot of sacrificing in this deck. This enchantment scries a bunch when it scries 1 every time a creature dies. So that's great. Mind Crank. This isn't a mill deck, but it feels good sometimes just to mill your opponent a good extra couple of cards. If you're up against like an Una deck, you have Mind Crank out. You can give the Una deck a taste of its own medicine, basically. Grave Porridge. You're sacrificing a bunch of creatures. Grave Porridge puts all the creatures back on top of your deck. Archfiend of Depravity to keep your opponent's boards in check. Diabolic Tutor. Tutors are great in this deck. It'd be great if I had a bunch more, but I don't. So, Diabolic Tutor. Bad Moon, because Anthem effects are good in Commander. Runescarred Demon. It's Demonic Tutor on a 6/6 flyer, which is great. Here's the Grave Titan I talked about earlier. Grave Titan, everybody knows what Grave Titan does. Overseer of the Damned. Great card. Basically, enters the battlefield, murders something. Whenever a creature dies, create a 2/2 black zombie. Bloodgift Demon is essentially a Phyrexian Arena on a stick, which is really nice. Demon of Wailing Agonies gets bigger with my commander out. Try to keep the commander out. It also keeps my opponent's boards in check. Pestilence Demon. This is the saying: if I'm ahead of my opponent with Pestilence Demon out on the field, I automatically am winning no matter what in the board state. Because I can just sink a bunch of mana into Pestilence Demon, and we'll both be losing life, but they'll still be at a lower life total than I am. Reaper from the Abyss. I do a lot of sacrifice. Sacrificing in this deck is really cool. Sacrifice each turn. Reaper of the Abyss destroys another target creature on the battlefield that I don't like with my opponents. So that's fun. Abyssal Persecutor. 6/6 flying trample for 4 is nice. I'm not really worried about the can't win the game and your opponents can't lose the game, because I can just sacrifice this creature whenever I want with the commander or any of the other sack outlets in the deck, which is amazing, and that's why it's in here. Zathrid Demon. Basically take one of the undying creatures, sacrifice it to Zathrid Demon. If it gets to the point where I can't have Zathrid Demon on the field and it's dealing too much damage to me, I can just sacrifice Zathrid Demon for one of the effects from one of my sack outlets, whether it's Gissa or the commander, Razaketh or Bantu. Dregs in Sorrow. Basically, card draw in black. Very simple. It's also creature removal, which is nice. Mutilate deals with indestructible creatures. It's a board wipe that deals with indestructible creatures, basically, which is nice. Jar of Eyeballs helps me sift through my deck. Commander Sphere for the ramp and the card draw. Skurstag High Priest to get more flyers out onto the field. Magus of Coffers. I'm going to push this forward a little bit so you can see it better. Magus of Coffers is basically the land that I had earlier. It's another mana doubler. Very nice. Cryptghast, another mana doubler. Infernal Offering, great card. Get benefits. You can do one to each opponent, and you get both effects. Desecration Demon, because Desecration Demon gets really big, and honestly, in a 3-4 player commander game, Desecration Demon will probably never untap, but 2 or 3 players, I can probably get a hit in with it every once in a while. Plus, it's always usually really big when I do. Sudden Spoilings is really good. It's blue effect on a black card, which is great. Siphon Flesh, unconditional creature removal, deals with indestructible and hexproof. Throne of the Black Rose to become Monarch. Harvester of Souls, doing a lot of sacrificing. This card draw without paying life. Mausoleum Harpy, because Ascend is fun every once in a while, so that's in here. Blood Artist, because Blood Artist is good. Zathrid Gorgon, basically locks down creatures, plus it's a great blocker. Silence of the Believers is Exile in black, which is great. And finally, Blood Reckoning, because you don't really have moats in mono blacks, and this is the closest thing to it. So, Blood Reckoning is always a good card.